up 95. At his size, the chafing possibilities are absolutely enormous.
We're putting the bad visual
the amount of ointment that Dan Le Batard would need when he got off that bike, that inner thigh area. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, Nick Foles may be a Jag, Kyler Murray may be a Cardinal, and Mr. Big Chest may actually be two chests.
Get out.
But we begin today with the Lakers, who are on the verge of spinning down the bowl into oblivion. Since we last appeared on this show, the Lakers have lost to the good Bucks and the terrible Suns. Even a loyal fan such as Snoop Dogg has said, and I'm going to clean this up, get rid of all of them except LeBron.
That's not good.
The Lakers host the Clippers tonight in a game that would be meaningful if you thought the Lakers had any chance for the playoffs. Wilbon, do they?
No, but it's still going to be meaningful. You got to watch. I'm going to watch it. I know you won't, but I'm going to watch. A lot of people are going to watch. No, it's over. They're done. The Phoenix game. Didn't I text you from wherever I was saying this is it? Other games they couldn't lose. Like they couldn't lose to Atlanta, they did. They couldn't lose to New Orleans, they did one out of the two.
Yeah.
But the Phoenix game, that came out of nowhere. They're done. But Tony, they are a celebrity train wreck. And you are going to watch this. A lot of people will watch to see if it does it get worse? Do they continue to just kill themselves along the way to limp to the end? What happens with LeBron if they're just out of the playoff chase? I'm going to watch.
I'm going to tell you this, and they've got 19 games left.
Yeah.
They've got to win at least 12. And 13 of the 19 teams are 500 or over. So,
yes.
so they're not going to make it. I think this is a very bad test score for LeBron James. I do. Michael Jordan never missed the playoffs with Chicago. Julius Erving never missed with Philadelphia. Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, they never missed. These are the contemporaries. This is the peer group in the last 30 years with LeBron James.
But none of those guys ever went to 8 straight finals either.
I understand that, but I'm going to ask you a serious question.
What?
Is it possible that LeBron James, in deciding to go to the Lakers, thought more about his long-term business possibilities in Los Angeles, with movies, with television,
I think he thinks of it all.
Making a basketball
You think of it
decision?
all. It's your life. It's your life.
How
not
can
just
you
playing.
This is LeBron James. How can you explain this?
Tony, I can explain it this way. The league is better, and the league may have more good teams in it now than at any time since the early to mid-'80s. There's a lot of great young players out there who are not afraid of the Lakers. And LeBron doesn't have quite the impact. His numbers are still great, but he doesn't have the impact on the game every single night.
They went down the tubes when they insisted on trying to get Anthony Davis and told everybody.
They went down the tubes when LeBron missed 18 games.
Everybody's available.
That's when they went down the tubes.
You told every player on this team, you can be traded.
That hurts.
That hurts you.
Both things. Missing the 18 games.
Bad.
And then the big trade that didn't happen. The Lakers are starting to have company in their misery too, Tone. All right, the Celtics aren't going to miss the playoffs altogether. They can't really do any worse than 5th in the Eastern Conference. But the C's have lost 5 of 6 since the All-Star break. And yesterday they got whacked by the Rockets in Boston. The only thing that Brad Stevens and Kyrie Irving could come up with afterward was, quote, got to play better, close quote. Meanwhile, Tony, the Rockets have won a league best 5 straight and seem to be figuring it out at just the right time. So who's a bigger playoff threat to you, the Rockets or the Celtics?
I'm a bigger playoff threat than the Celtics are right now. Okay, they are awful. Their best player, and he's a great talent, Kyrie Irving, is miserable talking about the Celtics.
You were struck by his appearance yesterday.
Mike, it's like he'd rather be anywhere else on earth than where he is after a Celtics game. As you mentioned, they're 1-5. I know you thought they should have traded him at the deadline. I'm looking around at Kyrie Irving and saying, this is an opportunity lost. I don't know how they beat the Bucks. I don't know how they beat the Raptors. I don't know how they beat the Sixers.
The Sixers in the first round the way it's looking.
He's so deflated.
That. I don't think that Kyrie Irving alone is all that's wrong with the Celtics, Tony. And they all are searching for answers. Nobody has real answers. You know, I was at an NBA game yesterday, asked a few people on both teams about the Celtics, and people just go, no one can believe this around the league, that you take that team that made it without Gordon Hayward and Kyrie Irving to Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals, add them, and you have nothing. They are worse. And so nobody can figure this out. Al Horford's talked about a lack of consistency. Tony, there is
consistency. They're 1-5 since the break.
Yeah, but they've had a couple of good streaks too before the break.
I understand.
The Rockets are a bigger threat, Tony, because there's only one team the Rockets might not be able to beat, and that's Golden State. Yeah. The Rockets can beat everybody else in the West. You said this, and I agree with you. The Celtics, we don't think can beat everybody else in the East.
Well, here's what I would say, that Houston has the best scorer in basketball right now in James Harden. I just don't see that they could ever beat the Warriors. That's just me.
Right, but just the Warriors.
The Celtics could somehow get lucky and have a better chance in the East than I think the Rockets would have against the Warriors. But if you're handicapping this right now, the Rockets are a significant threat right now. I just don't think, I don't think they can win. Philly.com originally reported that Nick Foles will sign a contract with the Jacksonville Jaguars when you're eligible to do that next week. Foles will be reunited with his old Eagles quarterback coach, John DeFilippo, now offensive coordinator for the Jaguars, and presumably Blake Bortles will be history. Wilbon, are you convinced that this is a significant upgrade for Jacksonville?
I don't know how significant it is. I mean, it's an upgrade if they do it on the field. But I would take Foles over Bortles. Yes. 90 times out of 100, I'm taking Foles over Bortles. And I don't care what the financial implications or ramifications are. And if you're talking about DeFilippo, he has coached him. He understands what it is, strengths, weaknesses, some vulnerable moments that might be avoided by a coach who knew that guy when he was his position coach. So yes, I'm taking Foles.
Bortles was the overall number 3 pick. He's a bust. Okay, they had some stuff around him, and they certainly had a good defense. And 3 games into this season, I thought they were a Super Bowl team, and then they struggled to score, and that is on a quarterback when you struggle to score. I would take Foles over him as well, but Foles out. We both thought Philadelphia should keep Foles.
Yeah.
Because we both think that Wentz is injury prone, and we're not sure about Wentz. Okay, Philadelphia went the other way. I guess I'm betting on DeFilippo because outside of Philadelphia, Nick Foles is every bit as ordinary as Blake Bortles.
But that's what you do. It's the combination.
Yep.
I mean, we talk in a different way about Brady and Belichick. That's to be set aside. But yes, Tony, I mean, there are coaches who can bring the best out of players, and particularly in that relationship.
Was it Doug Peterson, though, the head coach? Was it him? Was it DeFilippo?
Was the quarterback?
Do you know who it was? Was Frank Reich involved in that at some point in Philadelphia?
Yeah, he was involved in it. But, Tony, I'm not saying that DeFilippo should get all the credit for it.
Right.
For what Foles. I'm just saying there now is a guy that Foles is also familiar with, that he can look to in times. I don't want to say crisis, but times of uncertainty.
He's got Leonard Fournette, Marquise Lee.
He's got a running game. He's got a defense.
He's got D.D. Westbrook. I mean, he's got some talent. He's got some talent around him.
I'll bet you that Jacksonville will go better than 500 this year.
By the way, you know what? All of a sudden, that's a very good division because Houston is a good team, and Tennessee's a pretty good team, and Indy had a big resurgence.
Big jump.
Yeah, pretty good.
Everybody with a byline in Indy this week was writing that the Arizona Cardinals will be selecting Kyler Murray with the overall #1 pick next month. Lots of reporting also has Josh Rosen coming to your Redskins, Tony.
Is that right?
But back to Murray. Just a month ago, it wasn't even a certainty he'd play football professionally. Now, he just has to be the #1 pick. Tony, are you as convinced as everybody in Indy that will be the case?
No, I'm not. And there are a lot of reasons. But, I mean, the most obvious reason to me would be that this is what happens in the run-up to the draft. There's a lot of subterfuge. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors. If I'm Arizona with the #1 pick and I don't really want Murray, if I talk about Murray, maybe I gin up in some other team that does want Murray the ability to give me 2 #1s or something like that, and then I don't have to make the pick that I don't want to make. I mean, you go to the combine. They measured his height and his weight. He didn't run. He didn't throw. He didn't do any of these things. I thought he was a great college quarterback. I worry, you worry, he'll get hit, he'll get hurt. That long term, he's a risk. The #1 overall, no, I'm not convinced.
I loved it when Louis Riddick said during whatever part of our marathon coverage of the Combine in Indy that Haskins is the #1 quarterback on his board.
He's bigger.
Loved hearing that.
Can't run, but
because all the other thought is just herd mentality. That he has to be. Why does he have to be?
I don't know.
He didn't have to be.
I don't know.
Dwayne Haskins, did he look like a bum when he was out there?
No, he was pretty
this season.
No,
even late in the year.
And he's not small and he's not slight, and you don't worry about what happens when he gets hit. And he threw, I think, 40 or 50 touchdown passes.
5-0.
Yeah.
5-0.
As much as I love Murray at Oklahoma, everything that you learn about football, that these things like height and that these things are important. You go and you're going to take the #1 overall pick,
and it's certain. Really, it's certain.
So no,
I don't believe it.
No, I don't.
But
I don't.
Remember their situation.
They wanted
with coach.
The coach wanted him.
Player.
Kingsbury wanted him.
Not wanted. He wants him.
But the GM said last week that Rosen's gone.
Well, he said for now.
So Rosen and Bortles get to go in a boat together.
That was last week.
Antonio Brown did a long interview with Jeff Darlington of ESPN in which he basically set himself up as the greatest catch since Moby Dick. Among the self-serving comments he made were, quote, I don't even have to play football if I don't want. I don't even need the game. I don't need to prove nothing to anyone. If they want to play, they're going to play by my rules. If not, I don't need to play. Obviously, I want the game, but I don't need the game.
Shut up! Shut up!
Unquote. Wilbon, is Brown hurting his trade value?
Not at all. I don't need to hear Antonio Brown talk. I need to see Antonio Brown catch. And we know he can catch like a Hall of Famer. I don't want to hear anything out of Antonio Brown's mouth ever. And I don't know how many coaches there are in the NFL because they're all bothered by the wind blowing 2 miles an hour, every NFL coach and everybody on his staff. But somewhere maybe there's an exception where they say, shut up and catch the ball.
So there must
do that.
There must be this book on how to be a wide receiver. It must be called Divas for Dummies. And Antonio Brown read it, and Odell Beckham Jr. read it.
Don't put Odell in his category. Odell's not in his category.
And your boy T.O. wrote it. He wrote it. So now here's what you need to know. 2 Hall of Fame receivers have come out and talked about this.
Yeah.
Larry Fitzgerald, who you love.
Man.
Larry Fitzgerald said, I believe that Mr. Big Chest may be going about this in the wrong way.
Great.
And T.O. said, I think he's doing it the right way. Now, which side are you on in this?
I think you know what side I'm on. But I will say this on T.O.'s behalf. T.O. put the numbers up.
That's
for
right.
Like 13 years.
That's right.
I mean, T.O. put the numbers
deservedly
up.
so.
T.O. was great, and I know he was.
Does it help having a good quarterback, Mike? Because Larry Fitzgerald said that's the most important
what
thing.
He's saying is you got Ben Roethlisberger.
And he's walking.
And you want out. You sure you want out?
How many great receivers are being thrown to by inferior quarterbacks? The answer is very, very, very few. The quarterback makes the receiver by putting the ball close enough.
Mr. Fitzgerald.
He's had some.
But
he's
who
had
made
some
whom in those cases. Larry's
ball's got to be close. Let's take a break. Coming up to Trae Young, your boy. Really go too far against your Bulls.
I was sitting right there watching this. Should goalies be allowed to throw their sticks during shootouts? No.
Antonio Brown.
Enough of Antonio Brown. I'm tired of him.
Stop.
Can we have a moratorium on him? Remember how you used to say you didn't want to talk about Carmelo? Carmelo is much more worth talking about than Antonio Brown.
Oh, not now.
Sure he is.
Oh, no.
Even now.
Oh, no. Stop.
I wouldn't advise that. It's called plagiarism.
Did Trae Young deserve to get tossed?
Here we go. I was sitting there yesterday in Chicago. Trae Young had already had a technical foul earlier in the dust-up with Chris Dunn. And he comes down, he hits this 35-foot shot, and he's just staring. He didn't say anything because Dunn, how do I know this? Because Dunn said after the game he didn't say anything. I was irate initially because every single basket this kid makes, he has been great. He's got to stare. He's got to preen.
You're a hater.
Dude,
you're a hater.
You're a rookie. I know you're great. You're a rookie. Shut up and go back down the court and try to play D, which you can't do.
Right.
And everybody looked at me and said, you're an idiot. He should not have got tossed. And I cede to Reggie Miller. Reggie basically said, this is the dumbest ejection in the history. But I cede to Reggie. But I liked it in the moment.
You enjoyed it in the moment.
I enjoyed it in the moment.
Shut up. It in the moment.
Stop staring at people every time down the court.
The NBA is not the NFL. In the NFL, people literally stand over bodies and taunt them.
Like Liston,
and that's very bad. In this particular case, he looked at a guy who didn't really play a lot of defense on him on that particular shot.
Okay.
And he got tossed. If you are going to start tossing people for looking, Russell Westbrook will knock it out of a half. Because Russell Westbrook preens with everything. I thought it was an absurd ejection.
Let me just say this.
I just thought it was absurd.
It was absurd. Reggie and others are right. My brother elbowed me in the chest yesterday for cheering this.
Absurd.
Shoot the ball, go back down the court sometime. Do you see Tennessee as the #1 seed?
Not now, not yet. I understand that at least one team in the SEC is going to be a number one seed.
Well, you pronounced them dead when they lost 2 weeks ago to Kentucky.
No, I didn't pronounce them dead. I said I didn't think they were the best team in the country. It's going to come from LSU, Kentucky, or Tennessee. LSU at the moment is 2-0 against those teams.
It ain't going to be LSU.
And those teams are 1-1 against each other.
Tennessee.
They're going to have a tournament in Nashville. The winner of that's the SEC tournament. The winner of that will deservedly be a number one seed. But if you ask me now, do they deserve it? Well, I'm going to say not
we're
yet.
Asking you to project a little bit. Yet is okay.
Not yet.
But I think that Tennessee will wind up being the best of those 3 teams in this particular.
So you think they're going to win the SEC tournament?
I do. And I think they'll get the number one seed. And I'll tell you something else. Duke is still going to play at least 1 more, maybe 2 more games without Zion Williamson.
Maybe against Carolina.
I don't have them in ink with a number one seed.
Who are your other number ones?
You know who I'm going to put in there?
Go ahead.
I'm going to put in there the winner of the best conference in America, which may be Michigan State. It still could be Michigan. One of those 2 teams.
But it's not going to be Maryland if they win, or is it going to be Iowa?
It could be Iowa. I don't think it's going to be Maryland. Purdue, fine.
So you got a Big Ten team.
It's the best conference in America.
You got UVA, and you got Gonzaga.
And UVA and Gonzaga are in as far as UVA's got to play at Syracuse. Could they lose that game?
No.
They're not going to lose that game?
No, they're better.
Wouldn't NHL shootouts be better if this was legal? And we're talking about
throwing a stick.
Throwing a stick is a goaltender. You can't have this.
Okay. My answer to this question
is
yes, absolutely.
No, come on.
Okay? The rule is this. A goalie cannot throw a stick at the puck. It's an automatic goal.
Well, that's what he did.
But Mike, I want that to be in the regular game. I believe that a shootout is an artificial ending. And I believe you can change the rules and make them artificial as well. In fact, if a goalie wants to jump out and hammer the guy, I'm okay with that because it's an artificial ending. John Tortorella says outlaw all of these things, play 3-on-3. These are his words.
I agree.
Until somebody dies.
I agree.
That is his word. Until somebody dies.
You watch when they play 3-on-3 or 4-on-4 in overtime. Have you watched how great that is?
Yeah.
Look, no, you can't have this. In baseball, you throw a glove at a ball, that's interference.
They don't have an artificial ending in baseball.
Okay, forget the artificial
ending. They don't have home run derby.
You can't throw anything in a field of play in any sport, and now you want the NHL to have it?
Because
this is insane.
Again, artificial ending deserves artificial rules.
Soccer, penalty kicks, PKs. You want a guy to be able to take his boot off?
Yeah, and throw it at somebody's head. Enough email.
Stop it.
Let's take one last break. But still to come, do the Dodgers need to seriously start worrying about Clayton Kershaw?
And how concerned is Tiger Woods' latest injury?
Did you watch the golf yesterday?
No.
Did you watch this kid Mitchell?
No.
He drains a 15-footer on 18 for birdie. He gets up and down from 110 yards.
Great for him.
He beats Koepka and Fowler. No. It was great.